Hi, it's me. Number 4, the Devil's Tramping Ground. In North Carolina's Durham County sits an area known as the Devil's Tramping Ground, a perfectly circular patch of barren land roughly 30 feet in diameter. Nothing grows here, not grass, shrubs, or trees. Animals won't walk across it, including cows, and if you leave something here overnight, it will be gone by morning. It's considered to be cursed, and locals warn that anyone who dares enter it won't come out the same ever again. So, what's going on here? Well, for one thing, there are no rabbits. This might not seem like much, but in the American South, rabbits are everywhere. They can be a massive problem, in fact. Farmers hate them because they eat crops. But at the Devil's Tramping Ground, the rabbits don't just stay away, they won't even go near it. That's why the place is also called the Rabbit's Rest. No rabbit wants to rest here, not even when they're dead. Local legend says if you put a dead rabbit in the circle, it will jump up and run away. But what about living things? Well, according to some, if you walk into the circle and turn around, you'll see a pentagram with your back to the center of the circle. If you step inside, though, you won't be able to get out, and if you try, you'll die. Of course, this is just a story. No one has died trying to escape the circle so far as we know, but it's said that the ground within the circle is so hot you can cook a nice piece of steak in a few minutes. You'd certainly die from that, but then they'd have found your burnt-up corpse, wouldn't they? In 1977, a farmer named Buck Walser decided to defy the curse, and he took his tractor inside the circle. He drove it around slowly to see if it would break through the hardened soil, but it didn't. Instead, the tractor seemed to be pulled downward. Then, all of a sudden, the ground split open and the tractor disappeared. Or did it? We're not sure what happened because Buck was never the same after that day. He had nightmares for years afterward, and he became convinced that the only way to stop the nightmare was to go back to the circle and retrieve his tractor. So he did. He went back, but he wasn't sane. He started ranting and raving and talking in tongues before disappearing himself. His body was never found, but some people say they saw him wandering around the area in the months following the incident. He was never the same, though. Not ever. Okay, let's take a moment to talk about how strange this place really is. Nothing grows here. You can look around and see that the trees at the edge of the circle are totally healthy. There's nothing wrong with them, yet nothing grows within the circle. This is a huge deal because this part of North Carolina is very rural. People raise cattle here and grow crops. They live off the land, and they understand how nature works. They see how seeds are dispersed and how vegetation grows. So when they saw this perfect circle of barren land with not a single blade of grass growing in it, they knew something was wrong. And this has been going on for decades. It was first described in the 1860s when a local minister was traveling through the woods, and he came across the Devil's Tramping Ground. He wrote about it, saying, "There was not a leaf, shrub, or weed of any kind growing in it." He observed that the ground was hard, springy, and sandy, as if tramped down by heavy and numerous footsteps. That's exactly how the area looks today. Another thing that doesn't grow here is anything else. That's right. If you put anything in this circle, it will be gone by morning. If you leave a brick out overnight, it will disappear. Same goes for beer cans, road signs, tree saplings, and even tombstones. One day, a woman who lived nearby left her cat in the circle, and by morning, it was gone. Some say it vanished, but others claim it ran off. So maybe that's what happens to humans too. Maybe if you leave the circle you won't actually die, you'll just choose to leave and never tell anyone. There are 2 other places in the world that are kind of like the Devil's Tramping Ground. One is in northern Michigan and another is in England. But the one in North Carolina is definitely the most famous. Here's the thing, we've looked everywhere we can think of to find out what's going on here. We've searched for natural causes like toxic plants or radiation. We've talked to local farmers and residents, but nobody knows what's happening here. It's weird. There are no big cats in the area, so it's not like some kind of predator could be coming in and taking objects. There's nothing like that going on, and as far as aliens going, taking stuff to their spaceship and leaving, well, there's nothing like that going on either. We checked for UFO sightings in the area, and there aren't any. As far as we know, no one has ever seen anything unusual in the sky above the Devil's Tramping Ground. This brings us to the legend. The stories about the Devil's Tramping Ground were started by Native Americans. They say the devil made the circle while walking around the area, and whatever he steps on with his great big hoof is burned up. I mean, that sounds like a myth, right? But what if it isn't? What if there's some kind of scientific reason the grass won't grow here? Maybe the soil is sterile or something. Maybe there's a pocket of methane gas or something weird like that. Here's another theory. According to some, the Devil's Tramping Ground is evidence of a lost ancient civilization. They say the circle was built by indigenous people long ago, and whatever they used to do here caused the vegetation to die. But that makes no sense. Ancient civilizations are usually pretty good at growing things. They need to grow things to survive. It's doubtful they would destroy their food source. And what about the stuff that disappears? Local legends say the devil collects shiny objects, so that's why cars and cans and tombstones vanish. But then, sometimes people see those items on the side of the road, miles away from the circle. So maybe the devil doesn't take everything. Maybe sometimes people do. As for the people who have entered the circle and never come back, well, we don't know what happened to them. Some say they vanished, but others say they simply walked away. I mean, who would want to stay there? There's no grass, no trees, nothing to sit on, and you can't bring anything with you. And then you hear stories about how hot the ground gets, how it burns up a nice piece of steak in minutes. It's probably not that comfortable to sit on. And here's another strange thing. People go missing all over the United States, yet the majority of these cases happen here. That's why it's so popular and why people still go there hoping they'll find someone who vanished, or they hope to steal something that was dropped by a UFO. We asked our editor, Ben, what he thought was going on here. He said, "I think it's obvious that the government is testing out some kind of new ray gun here, one that burns up anything in its path. It's why nothing grows, and it's why objects disappear. And I bet there are secret cameras hidden around the perimeter of the circle recording everything." Now, that's a great theory, Ben, but the government doesn't just test ray guns whenever they feel like it. They have to follow protocol. And I'm guessing destroying acres of North Carolina farmland isn't high on their list of priorities. The truth is, nobody knows what's happening here. There are more questions than answers. But that's why we love it so much. Do you know what I mean? Thanks for watching. Bye.